Good evening, everybody, or good morning for most of you. Welcome to our power panel, where I have the honor and the privilege to be surrounded by 6 beautiful superheroines. Let's call it like that. I also want to, first of all, thank Christopher to join all these women together to quick kickstart 2023. And I hope this summit, the She Summit, will be the first of many more where not just women, but all people from all races, from all over the world will be put in the spotlight that they so deserve and will be valued for what they do or achieve. So, welcome all. My name is Isabel. I'm director of GatherVerse Europe. And first of all, I would like to invite my 6 amazing women over here to introduce themselves shortly before we get started in our panel. Tara, please.
First of all, I'd just like to say it's absolutely a privilege to be gathered with all these amazing women from all over the world. It's just a testament to the times that we're in and the opportunities that are available to us to be able to sync together and have such a wonderful chat about, being women and being empowered in this space. So my name is Tara Collingwood-Williams. I am a lecturer at Goldsmiths University and also a researcher at Goldsmiths University Lab. I research in augmented reality and virtual reality, specifically looking at VR in terms of embodiment, so the feeling of owning an avatar and having a digital representation in a virtual space. I look at the psychological impact that different configurations of our representation may have on us and others. I also am the BAME head in my department, so I really have a passion about really pushing representation and diversity in this space. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Welcome, Aniela.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to be here, for inviting me. I echo the words of Tara. It's a privilege to be here. I lead engineering for immersive tech products at JP Chase, where we are looking at how we can improve the workplace, leveraging immersive tech solutions.
Amazing. Kelsey, hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie, the power is down in where I live, so I had to run and find a place that had Wi-Fi. So I made it. But hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Kaufman. I'm the CEO of GG Women Professionals. It's a 501c3 nonprofit where we help women and allies in the game industry, raising their voices. I worked in the game industry as a game producer and designer for a few years, both in indie and in AA work for our studios. And right now I'm just here to talk about the game side of it for the metaverse and talk to the lovely ladies about changing stereotypes and technology. So thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Ruth. Love the background, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, so I am Ruth Diaz. I have a background in clinical psychology and organizational consulting. And I've been slowly moving into virtual reality as a specialty and a medium for connecting as human beings for the last few years. COVID definitely pushed me down the rabbit hole pretty hard into social VR. And right now I'm doing consulting work and supporting different communities and groups in building the metaverse, mostly right now focused through Meta Horizon Worlds, but also been in other applications doing events. And yeah, I believe that virtual reality and XR is a medium just like any other tool that can be used to harm us or heal us. And so I'm here to help us heal through it.
Amazing. Bonita, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here with everyone, and thank you so much for having me, and also echoing the sentiments of everyone else who has spoken. I'm so grateful to be in this space with all of you ladies. We're building this space right now. And so how I'm working on building the space, I'm a multidisciplinary artist and improviser. I'm also a Web3 consultant, and I made that pivot in 2020 as well. I was looking for ways to continue creating these immersive human experiences. That's what I was doing in physical space for many years. And when the pandemic hit and we had to shut everything down, I wanted to make sure that I could still bring people together for healing and transformation through art. And so virtual reality lent itself well to that. And that's how I am leveraging this technology. I'm also a Web3 consultant, currently working with Technology Gap, and I'm a founder. I'm one of the founders of Black Meta Fest, which was the first metaverse festival for Black creatives and innovators. And I am also a community member of Disruptor DAO, a co-founder of Disruptor DAO, which is disrupting women, bringing women into these technological spaces, particularly Black and Afro-Latinas, into the Web3 space, educating them and showing them about the investment opportunities that are available at this time.
Impressive. And thank you. And last but definitely not least, good evening, Celine.
Hey, hope you can all hear me well, because my headphones just went down and I'm using that little ones. So it's such a great and huge honor, and I feel like I kind of had an award, you know, to be with all of you, meet you, and being in here with you is like winning an award. So thank you so much for having me here with you all. And yes, I'm the founder of Young Family Company and Eventist. My background is from theater, and I'm an actor. But with the pandemic in 2020, I kind of more focused on VR, XR, and digital games. And so I founded Young Family Company in 2017, but with the the digital game and XR, I kind of how can I say, transferred and transformed Leon Film the company a bit more into a digital game film studio. I'm still working on it. I'm also working as a freelancer on various events. So this is why I found XR Eventist, because since I became a Euroimmersive Turkey member in 2021, which is a global federation, which Isabel is one of the founders. And so since then, I organized and made lots of social VR events, both on VR platforms and in physical spaces in Istanbul, in Turkey. So yeah, this is how I found XR Eventist. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to take your time more, but it's such a great joy to be here with you all here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. I think we can say that we represent diversity of a lot of countries, origins, backgrounds, cultures, languages, you name it. So what better panelists can we have to discuss the stereotypes and to be a woman in technology? So my first question is, like, what brought you, first of all, as a woman in technology, and what are the stereotypes that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, or that really complicate or even improve your life? Can go both ways, of course. So tell us about your story and your experiences as such as a woman in technology.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Yeah, please.
So, you know, I think it was Ruth that actually said this a little bit earlier. You know, this technology can be used to help us or to harm us. It's all about the intention that we bring to the space. We're going to bring our humanity. We're going to bring who we are into technology. So for me, when I began engaging, like I said, I was really looking to find ways that technology could bring us more connection during the shutdown and beyond. For me, it really expanded my world. Diving into virtual reality has helped me build relationships across the globe, very deep relationships with people across the globe that I've now had the pleasure of meeting in person that I never would have met had I not really went deep into virtual reality. So I think really coming into this, like the previous speaker, I was able to hear like the tail end of what she was saying, you know, as a humanist, a technological humanist, you know, really coming into the space with deep intention for connection, for making sure that people who perhaps don't have access to technology gain that access. Really coming into the space looking for the connections is what is going to drive this forward in a healthy manner. So that's what I'm really exploring. I really want to build a world of greater opportunity for people. I see technology as a way for people who may not have had the access to gain access to things that may not be in their immediate community. So that's how I'm really coming into the space with that deep intention.
And did you encounter some stereotypes that are complicating your work, your daily life as a woman in technology?
So, you know, I've only been in this space for a few years, but I have to say that I think maybe perhaps the timing of this, where I'm entering, there is actually a great deal of openness at this moment in time. People really seeing that there needs to be a change, that there needs to be more diversity. Now, some people they're talking about it. They're not necessarily about it. And that is true. But there are people that are really making an effort to shift their work culture to make sure that there is more diversity in their workplaces. And so women have a massive opportunity right now to dive in, grab those positions, and build the space that we want, making connections. All of us here on this panel, you know, we can build together. We can build community together, and that community can expand to all of our corners of the world. We can bring more women into this space. So I think, again, it's all about the intention. I have not, because I've just been so new into this space, seen too many barriers to me as a woman. I will say I felt more of the ice in terms of me being a Black woman in certain spaces. But in terms of being a woman, I do see there's a lot of opportunity right now. And I think it's really up to us to ensure that no one is left behind, that we're bringing more sisters into the space. So.
Thank you. What I would like to ask from you as a community developer, I'm sorry, I'm still a bit recovering from, but as a community developer, what are your experiences and what do you perceive on a daily basis?
Yeah, thank you for asking. And Bonita, thank you for your candidness with what I believe is intersectional identities. So one identity can be feeling welcome, but when we combine identities, especially in uninhibited spaces like virtual reality, early tech with no rules, wild, wild west kind of place, when intersectional identity shows up, sometimes it can be even more targeted and it go one direction or the other as the excuse. But overall, I believe as human beings, when we see different, it can excite us and we can want to be connected. or it can bring fear, and that fear can then start to marginalize in a really extreme way. And so as a community developer, I started to like notice across social VR applications how the best and worst of humans was showing up. And I think for anyone holding an intersectional marginalized identity, like Black and female, there can be a higher vulnerability level. And therefore, I believe as community, a bigger need for protection, and not just protection, but also like empowering and centering. And so my joy in diversity, equity, and inclusion work in physical reality has been brought into virtual reality, and actually initiating through the community events and environments we build, we initiate hard conversations about privilege and how to use the privilege of this technology to learn how to release that privilege that we maybe inherited, that we can actually redistribute our wealth through time and attention and resources that aren't just monetary, to actually center those who are most left out and pushed out. So it's a type of pain also, because I end up sometimes having the reputation of being the dragoness. Like I bring the fire, and I will be very direct, but also I stick around and I hold space for that maybe initially painful conversation to turn into a healing bridge. So I think that right now we're developing a museum in virtual reality on microaggressions, and teaching people through the experience of mosquitoes what microaggressions can feel like, and therefore the importance of actually noticing when those are showing up and learning how to clean it up. And virtual reality allows us to have a more courageous space to try out new things that maybe we've never tried out in physical reality, as far as like saying hard things that we want to say better. Yeah.
Impression. Seriously. Aniela, from a point of view, working at JP Morgan, which is a big business, a big company, I can imagine that in working in let's say, a certain structure, hierarchy, that you encounter more stereotypes than people that are just entering the market. I don't know what your experience is as a woman in technology.
Okay, let me start by saying that, like, what I'm saying is like an opinion of my own, doesn't represent the company itself. So when I joined the company, my first surprise is, and I am from Brazil, so Latin America tends to be a more sexist environment, and I had to fight for every role I had in my life growing up. So when I joined JP Morgan, to my surprise, that's where I didn't find those stereotypes and that resistance. And that's one of the reasons that me, as being like, I'm a game designer, I'm an artist, like by formation, right? I never thought I would be working in a bank. On my very first day at the company, my manager took me to a diversity equity, the ENI, a session, diversity, equity, inclusion. I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous. It's the first time I'm speaking in an event. So that all really surprised me, and it's very interesting how the company works very, very hard to shatter stereotypes. So I actually feel very comfortable at the company. It's very welcoming, and there are very strong programs to support your career growth. So I've found those stereotypes and resistance a lot more outside the company. I haven't felt anything like that after I joined the company, to be honest. So, and that's a amazing thing for me. And I actively also participate in the E&I groups, not only for women, but for accessibility purposes. And the idea is actually to include everybody. And from a development standpoint, you want to think about that as you are starting to build things. So, and the company provides me the autonomy and the opportunity to do that.
I think that's amazing to hear. It's heartfelt. Seriously, well, it's something that we tend to do, a prejudgment, that when we think big corporations, that we automatically think of like, okay, we probably will have to deal with a lot of stereotypes and so on. So I think I can only applaud that you have that experience. It's what we're all looking for, I guess. Tara, please.
So I never thought that I would be going down this path, working in XR, doing research. I thought I was going to be a fashion designer or of the sort. It came as a pleasant surprise. And it was the visibility of people, that women and Black women doing these things, that made me understand that it was important and it was possible. So when I joined my PhD program, so I did a PhD, I'm finishing on my PhD program in intelligent games and games intelligence. So it was a games PhD. And my cohort, I was one of the few girls that were brought in the second round. So it was welcoming. They were glad to have us. They were like, yes, we want more women in this space. We want more women doing research in this space. So it wasn't that I faced any negativity there. It was just that it was more of an internal battle that I had to overcome. So it was the imposter syndrome of it all. It's like, now that I'm in this space, can I hold the mantle and show others that, it's possible? Can I be that kind of light to others that I've also seen? So that was a journey for me to kind of believe in myself that where I've reached, I can actually, attain, and others can attain it as well, and be that kind of one of the many beacons that are shining a light in the space. My research, which does look at embodiment, and one of the reasons why I love looking at embodiment, because it all centers around that idea of, self-perception, and how you look, even in the real world, can impact, how you behave, how others perceive you. And what's interesting about the research that I do in VR is that I'm able to evaluate this space of how representation looks, and also give others the opportunity to see that from different perspectives as well. So it's quite an interesting privilege that virtual reality offers us, to kind of evaluate these social and empathic and embodied VR experiences, and see how this can affect our social interaction. So I'm glad, one, that I have so many mentors around me, because that's one of the things that helped me to overcome this kind of imposter syndrome, that I saw these powerful women doing amazing things, one of them being my own supervisor. So I think when you enter this space, it's always great to find your crowd, find those people that are rooting for you, find those people that are always trying to pour into you and help you to succeed, because they kind of give you that sense of accountability that, you know what, Tara, you actually did great today. Because sometimes you're just like, oh no, this didn't work. Oh no, this is not going well. But then you see that, no, actually, no, you're doing okay. No, this is actually good. This is actually great. And another privilege of being a lecturer is that I get to see the increase of women in my class every year. So when I went to do the same subjects, when I was doing animation and graphics and virtual 3D virtual world, again, I was one of the few girls in the classroom. But now as a lecturer, I come into the room at the beginning of the term, and I'm amazed that, how many women are in the scene, in the room, that are excited about, jumping into this space, that are excited about what they can do and how they can bring their own ideas and innovate this space. And so it's just very encouraging to see that there's this growth happening. And because of the visibility that's been given to us by LinkedIn, social media, it's so easy to find, you know, that sense of this is a space that I can enter. Sans from perhaps in our day where we had to really do work, someone had to come and speak. But another thing that I love to do, and I've started to do, is go to high schools and do workshops on VR, because again, I feel that the need to show what the avenues of possibilities are at a younger age is so important as well. To see that, oh, I can actually do this, and I can start thinking about it from now. Because when I was younger, I didn't see that as an avenue, even though I was still doing things in STEM. I had a WordPress, I was doing my, you know, my websites, I was working and building all these spaces on the internet to kind of show my passion. And I didn't directly connect that I can actually turn this passion into a career choice and be successful about it without someone coming to show me where that bridge is, you know. So I'm happy that, you know, we've been given this opportunity with these summits, with going to workshops, to hosting workshops virtually and in person, that there's more sense of a community about this space and what we can do. And I'm just proud that us women are finally being able to kind of embrace that.
Can I just jump in? I just love what you're doing and what you said, especially about really bringing it back to other young women, welcoming them in, being that visual reference for, hey, you can do this, this is possible, so that they can see that there is a connection between their passion and what they can do as a career. And I think that's so important. If every one of us women who are now in this space can go back in some small way even and do just that, just think about how many more women we're going to onboard into the space and how that is going to shift the direction that we're all moving in. So congratulations to you for all of your successes, and thank you for doing that work.
Thank all of you for being visible. I mean, you're all, just being in this panel with all of you is inspiring. And I'm sure people just watching us all gather and speak about the amazing things that we're doing is going to make such an impact. So yes.
That's exactly the point, because that's what we will come up to later as well, is indeed like, what is the difference going through time, like back in the days when we started out, today, and what can we do or should we do for future generations as well, to have them included and feel included, to put them out there as well. So exactly that. And I'm really happy to hear that we're already on the same page. So it's I can only applaud that. Before I will go to Celine, I would first like to ask Kelsey. The reason why I would like to wait with Celine to the last is because as myself, we're from the other side of the ocean, where things are a bit different. So therefore, I would first like to have the vision and the perception from your side of the ocean before we jump to Europe and Eurasian continent. So Kelsey, please tell us, what are your experiences so far?
That's a pretty broad question. I'm not gonna lie. What is my experiences?
Well, experience in terms of being a woman in technology and the stereotypes that you encounter on a daily basis, good, bad, for you to fill in.
Well, everyone kind of told their little journey. So I'm technically more from the game industry. I'm not purely in tech like those in Google or at Amazon. You know, Amazon, you could argue, is in games too now with their own studio. But I would say the one thing I grew up with thinking is, if he or she can do it, why can't I? And this is the one thing I think people have to recognize, is that you kind of have to be your own hero at times. You have like this, you know, we're called Superhero Engine. That's what SHE Summit is for. And you kind of have to be in some of these spaces. I know for me personally, you know, people would put me, like, they don't want to put me in the AP classes. I remember when I was a kid, I'll kind of ask them, it's like, no, put me in there. I remember I was trying to go to specific colleges and the counselors wouldn't help me. I said, I said, well, tell me what classes I need to take. I'll learn the math, I'll learn the science. And it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard when your family doesn't know calculus or certain type of science classes as well. And so when you're going into more of a STEM major, I remember it can be very difficult. But the one thing I've learned is there stereotypes? Yes, there's going to be some stereotypes in there. But thankfully, especially when I got to more undergrad and grad school, I would say people were recognizing, oh, this is a woman and a female. Like, obviously, we're all women or females here. But they started recognizing me as, I'm Kelsey. This is Kelsey. This is what Kelsey does. This is who Kelsey is. And that's why I want to be recognized. Yes, I'm a woman, but I'm Kelsey at the end. So with that type of mentality, I think I've seen better results with the other gender and going into the game industry. And in the game industry, we do have something called crunch, burnout. People get laid off a lot. I know right now tech companies are being laid off again. And I've unfortunately experienced a lot of layoffs, and I've experienced burnout. It's actually been about almost 3 years since I've done a public talk, but because of Christopher, he invited me, he really wanted me to speak, so here I am. So I'm very honored, so thank you.
And you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm trying, but I'm doing okay. So here's the one thing. I remember, Tara kind of talked about we have to root for people, right? Well, what happens if you don't have a role model? And that's kind of what I had experience with. I didn't have a role model to look up to. There was no woman in tech or games I wanted to be. So I kind of just became my own role model. I kind of asked myself, well, what do I want to be? Can I be a role model to my little sister? Can I be a role model to someone else? That's something you kind of have to think about. If you don't have one, become one. And so that's why I went to the community with, it's called SF Bay Area Women in Games. That was the original community. And then I transferred and made a nonprofit called GG Women Professionals. So I want to help the community, because if I can help people, then I can help raise their voices up. That's what I want. So I don't know if that answers the stereotype question. To answer the technology question, negatives and positives. The positives are going to be, you can connect with people around the world. I'm talking to some people in Sweden right here, across the US right now. I'm in California, so what's up, anyone else in California or anywhere else? But technology is great that way. You can play games with people, you can connect, you can go in virtual reality now, you can have meetings, you can now do remote work. So there are fabulous technology advances in it. The negatives, I would say, is, and this is where people don't always agree with me on this, but when I think about the metaverse, and even in video games, I have to explain to people, I said, hey, this is a reality, but it's not our reality. So there is this form of, you don't want to be addicted to it. You want to take care of our real life here. If you look at technology, even in games, and I know, and they might be doing this in other areas as well. If you think about it, we're always striving for our reality in a virtual world. That is the actual key thing that our perfection is our own reality. And if that is true, then we have to remember, take care of our own reality. And we can still have fun in these other mediums, but let's take care of ours first so we can have fun in these mediums. I don't know. Did I answer all your questions, Isabella? I don't know if I got all that.
More than that, it's amazing and great to have you back. Even after 3 years, you're still standing. So building strong.
It's kind of what Ruth said. Ruth said about being a dragoness, right? And I could have chosen. I really did think about this. I thought about leaving the game industry. I was burnt out. Everyone has good and bad work experiences, and the things I experienced that I didn't think was good, I really had to ask myself, do I want to come back into this industry? Am I going to experience something terrible again? And I had to ask myself the one question. So anyone listening in right now, watching us, and even the panelists, I just want you to ask this one question. No matter what your career is, you have to ask, are you still passionate about it? And then maybe before you ask that question, you have to ask, why were you passionate in the first place? If you answer that one, why was I passionate in the first place? Then you have to ask again, do I still feel that way? Did I grow that way? Do I still love it? If your answer is still yes, keep going. If the answer is no, it's okay to leave. And my answer was, oh no, I still love making video games. I want to be here. If the empathetic people, the leaders that we need now are leaving the industry, then we won't have a change industry for the better. So that includes going to the metaverse and or the GatherVerse, right? Here we are leaders. We are our own leaders. We are our own superheroes, I would say. And talking to you guys early last week was amazing to hear. So let's just go out there and be superhero engines, right? Let's be the role models that people need in our mediums, because they need that more than ever. So thank you.
Yeah. Totally. Thank you.
Love it. Yes.
Totally. Well, let's go to the other side of the ocean where it's already evening. Celine, I know in Europe it's often different in terms of culture, especially in Turkey as well. Being a woman in tech, and
it's like
skyrocketing.
I mean, not only a woman in tech, but
in general.
In general, being a human being in here and is very challenging in this country, because it's a small country and it has now, since the pandemic, we are having the worst economic crisis ever, and it's going worse, not going any better. And I also see that great changes in economy in most of the parts of the Europe, UK, and other countries. Like, the world is going totally in a different phase right now. But the thing about the genders, like, if you're talking about the genders, as a person who never felt herself as a some kind of a woman or a man, I still don't wrap my mind around being a woman or being a man. So when I think about being a human being, yeah, it makes sense. But when I think about like the genders and stuff, I don't understand this. I don't get it. Believe me. I mean, I'm in my family, in my, my family is like two parts. Like, one part, like my father's side is very kind of modern and stuff, and my mother's side is very religious and very close-minded. And so I grew up in two different phases, like black and white. But that opposite and like different sides also gave me the colors. So I'm now in that day and age. I'm 38. I see the colors and all the spectrums of people. And I think when you're growing up in a family, like by your relatives, by your cousins, nieces and stuff, when you're growing up, you're learning the world. And the things that you learn, how can I say, the patterns that you're coming from your mother or father, also kind of reserving your perception about the world and the society, community. So you're kind of seeing from that visor. But from the very early ages, I was always like, no, I'm not like that, and I'm not like that too. So I kind of like Kelsey, I didn't have a role model. Like, I kind of created myself as a role model. And also, I never realized that has to have so much coverage, like, because my role models were actors, writers, directors, games. I was a hardcore gamer as a kid. So I always found myself in the art and culture, and I always found myself in that spaces. Art, games, music, they all saved my life, and they all made me who I am today. And so in that meaning, like in that stereotypes and cliches, I still see lots of walls and kind of globes, like that, transparent globes, like, like there are lots of bubbles around all that gender stereotypes and things. And I believe if we can really manage that, if we can really surpass that, if we can really evolve that gender stuff in our minds as humanity, we will improve a lot. Finally, one day, I hope. But still, like, in the first, like, last year or 1.5 years ago, in the first time that I attended event for game industry, I just saw the crowd. It was very crowded, like in Istanbul, in a small space, but it was very crowded. I saw the space and I couldn't believe my eyes. It was like lots of men, like, and I just climbed up to a higher place that I can see everyone, and I literally counted, you know, females or
the division
people
between
who are not male,
yeah.
and white. So it was like, and including me, it was 7. And the crowd was like maybe 300 people. And I was like, okay, this is a problem. And this is not just because of me, or this is not just because of my family, but this is because of how the cultural and all that stereotypical things just rooted, and how it is developed, like with the education, with the healthcare system, with the even with the foods, and you know, all the daily stuff is all wrapped around something else that we don't want to accept anymore, right? This is why we are here. But yeah, it's crazy. It's real that male dominant world system is real. It's obvious. But I think it's changing, and I think this is why we are here and talking about this. But I'm really tired, and I don't know if I can see that the real change in next 15 years or 10 years. But I see a great opportunity on VR, XR, like especially on XR industry. I see great opportunities and great openness about, like, that gender issue is not an issue anymore. Like, especially the new generation, you know, for them, you know, it's different. But when we see this as a geographical issue, like if we are talking about my country, I can't even say that. I mean, I can't even say I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm non-binary, I'm trans. I can't say that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to target myself where literally they attack that kind of people, that kind of humans. I won't target myself to anyone. I just want to live. So it's not an industry problem. I mean, it's not just on tech or any other kind of industries. It's a kind of a general world problem. But I think it's kind of getting better. And I think XR industry, and especially technology, is helping a lot. People are talking about, like, why AI is so racist. Like, who's teaching AI? I mean, humans teaching AI, like, oh, if this is blue hair, this is Asian. If this is pink eye, oh, this is okay, this is from Belgium. Like, we are teaching AI. So I think with the AI and XR, we are going to evolve maybe faster. And yeah, it seems like things are changing. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
What I do hear, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Just kind of to go off of that, I know sometimes in panels it can be, you know, even the implication of heroes were really high level. We're analyzing it from way up in the sky. So to give this a little bit of ground of, like, what is unfair? What are those invisible barriers? When I came into virtual reality, I experienced repeated microaggressions where I was motherized. So, like, idealized as this benevolent figure and then attacked if I wasn't continuing to be empathic. And I was sexualized. So actually, like, repeated people who said they were my friends and whatever would find me in a private moment and actually imply some kind of, like, sexual attraction or start to kind of role play with me in a way that made me really uncomfortable. And I thought, as a white passing woman in a white passing avatar in virtual reality, if this is happening to me, what's happening to people who have an accent or have a lisp or are intellectually disabled, and so they're not necessarily communicating at the speed or with the flexibility that the average white passing male in VR was. And so I started asking the question, how do we use the environments and the stimulus of virtual reality to actually shatter those stereotypes? Literally, one of my allies and friends heard some of those stories, and he built a experience in Meta Horizon Worlds about shattering stereotypes. So you take this giant, like probably 4-foot hammer, and you see all these labels, these stereotypes about women and men and LGBTQ and even different races, and you see them and then you hit them and they shatter and they break apart, and it's very cathartic. You get to just like destroy all these stereotypes quite literally. So I think that part of it is holding ground for all of us, holding ground in this space as both part of the industry and part of the community, and speaking the pain that I feel, speaking the pain that we feel. And by giving that voice, it creates more of an uncomfortable moment initially, but it raises the awareness long term, and it gives more chance for the next person, hopefully behind me, to take up more space. And so I see myself kind of like you see this background picture as I'm holding a bridge between kind of two paradigms. And in one paradigm, it's pyramidal and it's white passing or white males at the very top. And in the other one, it's more like a torus. It's this cycling energy of many different perspectives always coming in and bringing that very inclusive and many directional wisdom to help us shape where technology is going.
Totally. You're all so inspiring. And the thing is, like, before our panel last week, we had a great discussion already, just to get to know each other, where we initially started with like 45 minutes that became very fast, like 2 hours. And we could even go on for way beyond that. And I'm afraid that we will reach our time limits very soon as well. So what I would like to ask each of you is that what are your recommendations for the generations to come? Where can we do better? Be it, as Kelsey already said, like be your own hero, be your own role model, which I thought was very powerful. But also like keeping that open mind. So from all of your perspectives and experiences, what would you recommend where we can do better for the future? Aniela, please.
I guess maybe I'm gonna connect with what Ruth was saying, right? So I think in general in life you're gonna find those stereotypes, but there are safe places, there are safe groups, there are people that will be by your side and it will help you like navigate the challenges that you face. There are environments that are very rough, and normally, especially when you're gaming, that tends to come up a lot, where you see a lot of behaviors that are not acceptable. That's where like us together as groups need to hold that space, defend those who need that, that don't know how to react to that, right? So I play a lot too, and I see that a lot in the gaming space, right? So although I feel very safe in my work environment because of the structure and the support I have, that, right? That's not true for my life outside my work environment. So I think is look for the safe spots where you can do more and you can expand that safe net for others, right? So what we're doing right here is part of that. So as Bonita was saying, like all of us can connect and expand the network and create those safe bubbles that will start to connect to each other and like expand and become something bigger, right? The reality is humanity is organically defining patterns, and where there's fear, there's rejection, and that generate those marginal behaviors that forces us kind of out of the, I don't know, out of what's acceptable, right? So you don't want anybody mistreating anybody, but if we are silent and if we don't act when we see those things happen, that's where like we're missing a huge opportunity to expand that safety for all of us, right? So my advice is, yes, look for people that can help you navigate. Talk about it, right? So like it's not easy, and through life you're gonna have challenges all around, and there will be people that will help you, and there will be people that will well, I wouldn't say even microaggressions, like directly like be aggressive with you, right? And you need to learn how to deal with that. Unfortunately, the world reality is not the ideal world we would like to have. So we need to learn how to navigate and to deal with that. And therefore, those mentors, those like sponsors, those events that we can participate in, both as attendees and as leaders, are the ways to move forward with that. And to Celine and Kelsey point, if you don't have a role model, if you haven't seen a role model, like be your own. It's like if any human being could do it, you can do it. Like there's no real difference between genders. So just believe in yourself.
Brilliant. We're going to have to speed up, I'm afraid. So we'll click quickly, 30 seconds each. Tara, please, recommendations.
It's hard to even add to that. That was so, that was a kind of great wrap up to what we've discussed today. But I would say that there's power in your story, just off the back of what you were speaking about, of owning the good and the bad moments, but knowing that there's a hero in that tale. It might be someone else or it might be yourself, but finding that hero and sharing that story with others. You never know the impact you can have on those around you. So there's power in your story, and the world wants to know it, whether it be in real life or in a virtual space, because without knowing these stories, we can't grow. And without knowing these stories, we can't repeat mistakes. So
brilliant. Thank you. Celine, 30 seconds for you.
Wow. I mean, for new generations, they're all making their ways on themselves. So don't listen old people. Guys, don't listen old people. Just go your way. Life is good and it's all okay. Everything's going to be fine. Just go. Just go.
Brilliant. Thank you. Kelsey.
Consistency over motivation. This is the biggest key you have to do. You're going to have days you're not motivated at all, but if you have a goal, go for it, no matter what it is. I'd also say, someone pointed in that comment, open the doors for other women. And I would say also for other people, give people opportunities. And not just for young folks. I mean, yes, we want the younger generation to come up, but open the doors for others older than us or our age, because people are trying to come back in the games and tech. Let's not close them out. Let's keep those doors open for them too. And be each other's role models. Be your own role model. And if you have a role model, we can strive to be better, because if we can pave the pathway for the new generation, let's do this. Let's show that we can have ethical and safe mediums in games and tech, and hopefully the metaverse, where we're going to go with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Wood, please.
I'd love to give my time to Bonita. I don't think.
Okay, Bonita,
oh
please.
Oh,
I wanted to give her as well, so.
Are you sure? Okay, well, I'll jump in, but thank you, Ruth.
Bonita.
That's so kind of you. Yeah. I think that we need to listen to our body. We are intuitive beings. We are creatures that have evolved from creatures that could only use their senses to make sense of their reality. And that is a much deeper discussion that I would really love to have about that. But just you know, your body knows what is right for you. Don't listen to the status quo. Don't listen to the endless cacophony of voices telling you what you need to do for your future. Listen to your body. And then the other thing I will say is I invite guests to consider, you know, guests in this reality that we're creating, in this virtual reality that we're creating, to consider their digital integrity. How do you maintain the integrity of your person, of your humanity, as we are moving into digital space? So that's what I would leave you with.
I really want to thank each and every one of you for an amazing power panel. You're all my heroines, and I'm pretty sure that we will meet up again pretty soon as well for an extended conversation, and we can stream it if you like. So we'll get back to that. But for now, I'm afraid our time is up. But thank you so much for everyone. You all did great. You are great and very inspiring, not just for me, but for all of you and us. Thank you, GatherVerse S.H.E Summit. Woo!
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Be well.
Bye, all. Blessings.